Jack, his wife, and children moved from a remote village to a new house. This house was important to Jack because it was cheaper and more spacious. Events occur in this house that make Jack regret moving. They left at dawn with the last of the mist still clinging to the pines. The new house sat lower in the valley than Jack had expected. A squat, chestnut-colored thing with more rooms than sense. It was cheaper, and the children would finally have space to run. His wife, Maria, unpacked boxes in a bright, practical blur. The children turned one room into a fort and another into a kingdom. For the first week, the house felt like a bargain and a promise. On the 8th night, the first sound woke Jack. A careful, fingernail-slow scraping from inside the walls. He blamed pipes, settled back, and fell asleep to the slow, comforting rhythm of his wife's breath. The next day, tools vanished from the shed and reappeared in impossible places. Beneath the oven, inside the attic light fixture, balanced atop the bathroom mirror. The children laughed when toys moved, as if the house were playing with them. But their laughter had an edge Jack could feel in his teeth. Then came the portraits. On a rainy afternoon, Maria found framed photographs tucked into closets and behind curtains. Sepia faces with no names, eyes too knowing. They weren't there before. The house kept giving them things and then taking others. A favorite sweater folded in the pantry. A husband's shaving kit left on the lawn. At night, the air smelled faintly of smoke that never came from any flame. The smoke tasted like memory, like rooms he'd never lived in. The scraping sharpened into footsteps that matched his heartbeat. Once, he followed them to the head of the stairs and found every upstairs door open, though he'd locked them that morning. In the master bedroom, his son complained that someone whispered answers to his homework at midnight. His daughter woke from sleep talking to someone who answered back in consonant clicks. Jack began to find, each morning, small notes in his handwriting pinned beneath the placemat at breakfast. Notes he didn't remember writing, and which always said the same thing in his uneven scrawl. Don't leave. One night, driven by equal parts exhaustion and dread, Jack stayed awake until the house stopped pretending. The clock in the hallway stopped at 2:14. The lights dimmed like breath. From the walls came a thin, layered chorus. Not voices, but the memory of voices. Like radio stations bleeding through plaster. They murmured his name, sometimes his children's, sometimes his wife's maiden name. The house pressed closer, as if its rooms could rearrange themselves inside his chest. He found the attic door ajar and climbed into a hive of framed faces facing the rafters, their smiles sunken with something hungry and pleased.
One frame lay on the floor, open like a mouth. His own face, younger, reading a list that ended with, "You moved in." After that, Jack slept in the car, leaving the family to brave their rooms. In the mornings, Maria was kinder, and the children's fort grew into a shrine of found things. Jack's regret hardened into a dark calculus, a cheap house with a cost that was not money. The house wanted occupancy, stories to keep. It rearranged the ledger by adding names to its walls. On the last night, he tried to leave for good. The front door would not open. The children woke too, calm as if attending a lesson. From the rooms poured the sound of someone turning pages, hundreds of pages together. And the voices sang, soft and satisfied. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome. Jack never walked out. He learned to answer the house when it asked a name, to leave a small bowl of water by the stairs, to put photographs back on mantles he did not remember placing.
Sometimes, when the moon was a thin coin, he heard the scraping from inside the walls shape itself into words he could almost recognize. Cheaper and more spacious. He would trace the grain of the banister with the same shaky hand and try not to hear the house practicing the names of future owners.
Dear subscribers, leave your thoughts about this story in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to us. Good luck!